The stock market is about to get much worse, and we are going to talk about that tonight. So jumping in, we're going to break down the dollar, U.S. dollar, Japanese yen, Bitcoin, the S&P. I'll break down the futures first, then the ETF, which you probably know as SPY, then the NASDAQ, QQQ, the Russell, the IWM. Then we'll break down a few more tickers, answer a few more questions. So hopefully everyone's ready to rock and roll because we're going for it. Tonight we are going to be to the point, ready to rock. It is the Oracle's 10th birthday, so after this, I do have to go. I am being forced to eat cake and ice cream. Let's get going. All right, as far as the dollar goes, a little bit of a bounce. And it's annoying because I don't want the dollar to bounce. I'm still very, very short the dollar in general. Largely, all we've seen on the daily is just this sideways junk. So hopefully we're going to start breaking this ship down and get it much lower. I guess what I want to see the dollar ultimately is down here at this 95 mark. Now that would be awesome because that's where I want. Now I want the U.S. dollar, Japanese yen. I'm probably going to remain short until the 110 area. That's like picture perfect for me. It'd be even better if we just send it even higher. But I'll obviously have to start. Now I'm going to watch these monthly zones on the way down. But 123, I do think is going to be a tough spot for that. So I am short. I did add on short today. But for everybody following on this, right now I added on short just because I was thinking bear flag right here on the daily. But this is a monthly zone that we. Sorry, yeah, green's monthly zone. Anyway, we kind of bounced. I can kind of see this having a green week next week. So what I did, I added on. I'm up here in the wick, 147 something. I will. So I have 7 lots, and like the last 2, I've been playing the in and out game with. So like I go short, it sells off. I've moved my stop up, tags out. I go short again. I have 5 lots short up here that I'm just leaving. So. How many units is a lot? 100,000. So I have 700,000 short this right now. Bitcoin. Still, technically, by all other definitions, that's kind of a bear flag, and it does look like it's about to start panning out. I did buy more Bitcoin at the 50 mark. This is going to actually break down into a couple. Because in the growth count, I bought Beto. Right now, before this, it is down. I have not sold any calls against it. This is just one right now that is just flat out red. We do have 100 shares. If it spikes up, I'll consider selling a call. Right now, we're going to collect a dividend on it. But with Bitcoin, with the dollar, if the dollar starts to pick up any kind of momentum, I think they'll start hedging that with Bitcoin. And that's one of those things where it's what I think could happen, not it's going to happen at this time. Something I can call out. It's not going to be a zone play. It's going to be institutions start hedging, and I see this thing move with a dollar. And it's one of those that I'm bullish overall, so I don't mind holding it and weathering it through this storm. What I'm in is a Bitcoin futures ETF as well, so there's going to be some subtle differences. But what I'm hoping for is that does kick off and that sends it, which is also why I don't want to not be in it because I don't want to be chasing later. The Beto dividend did pay today, yes. So getting back into that, what was it, $1.49? $1.44. So for every 1 share you own of this, it is a monthly dividend. They just announced it and paid at the end. Last month was $1.50. Month before that was $1.76. $1.68 before that. So won't be bad. That'll definitely help our average out if we want to look at it that way. For now, I'm just watching out for the excitement on Bitcoin because I think we're right around the corner. I don't think I'm wrong. I think I'm just calling it out and it hasn't happened yet. As far as the S&P goes, that is a Google textbook perfect bear flag, and it is starting to pan out. If the bulls had any chance, any opportunity, any hope, it was to make a higher low right here. They didn't. It's selling off, and I think it's just going to probably continue to get worse. It did gap up a little bit at the open, but we're selling off right now. So we'll have to see if this zone holds right here. I just don't think so. Man, it would be cool if we could get down to this weekly zone down here. Getting all the way down to that weekly zone, we already touched correction territory. So correction was 10%. That was that Monday wick where everybody sold off, blamed it on Japan, Trump, or Kamala, depending on, whoever you were watching. Getting all the way down to this zone, not quite a crash. To see a full-blown crash, we would need it down here in this 450 area. That would put SPY at 450, which there is a zone right there. That zone, full-blown crash, I just don't think we get there. I think the NASDAQ does. I don't think the S&P does. And this is what I said before. I said the S&P is going to correct 10%, and the NASDAQ's going to get to 20. So far, I think the NASDAQ went to like 17. We're almost there. But that's, again, I do think the stock market's going to get worse. That's not a clickbait thumbnail or title. But if you've been following along with any of the other videos, the last half of the sell-off, I think we're about halfway there. The last half of that sell-off, I think, is just scratching and clawing and fighting its way because you're going to have people like me. There's money on the side. And people love to use that money on the side excuse. There's just people sometimes they want to buy the dip. There's the times where day traders think they're buying a dip because they're watching like some 1 minute or the VWAP, something crazy. But then there's real time frames, and no offense to anybody, but I'm on like the daily time frame. Where things get significantly cheaper or they're very much worth it. Might not be the bottom, but I like to buy things when they're down. So while everybody's panic selling, that's awesome. It just means I get to deploy the cash and get that many more shares. What part of that would be cool? It's cool because we get to buy more. This part always sucks. If you're not outright short, it sucks watching your money go down because every day feels like an eternity. It feels like it's never going to turn around, but we've done this how many times? And every time people get stuck in this, it's never going to turn around. I'm losing all my money, and they get emotional. No matter how many times you've shown them on the charts, it's literally bounced back. It's just taken months sometimes. Big deal. We'll sell options in the meantime. We can hedge it and go short. But right now, I do think that gets a little bit worse. All right, so we got outside one standard deviation, reined it back in, and we're flirting with breaking it again. In fact, after hours, we already are. So the 2 standard deviation spot is 506.39. If we got to 506, actually, I probably will. I'll sell some 500, 498 put spreads just below that zone. And again, that'll be a credit spread. I just like the $2 spread, especially outside 2 standard deviations. If we can collect some money for it, I like that. NASDAQ. Now, talk about a sales pitch. If you had these magic yellow lines, magic yellow boxes, let's say you are a YouTube member and you use the chart link, you save it, and you have these boxes, you could have went long here, short here, long here, short here, long here, short here. So that would have been zone to zone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. And if you trailed it, you would still be in it. How crazy is that? As far as this goes, I know if you're bullish, what you really want me to say is we'll probably make a higher low and we won't go that low. And that the bottom is in. And some people were talking about the bottom being in. Because we rallied up and then we really started to hang out. Like, hey, maybe. But, like I've said it before, recently too, it's been a while before that, you can't make a bear flag without a green candle. So no sense in getting excited off just a little bit, especially after everything else. Now this, if you guys have been watching, then you guys know this was a rip your face off rally. This is just a relief rally. And that's basically the difference. One's an absolute berserk send it mode. The other one's like that little channel up, gets everybody all excited because it finally seems like things are calming down. And then they break it off in you. And then all of a sudden it's down. You wish you were short. As far as knife catches goes, I would go long this right here. So if I had any sold calls in tech, if we hit that zone, probably closing those because that's also a long play, buying back your short positions. Deltas wise, I'll get longer right around here. If that breaks, RIP. From the peak to down here, so there's 17%. 20% puts us right here. Now that's officially a crash at that 16.5 mark. 16 flats, 22%. We make it to this zone down here. And I'm either going to be really rich or really hurting shortly after, because the allocation I would put into tech at that zone would hurt some of you guys' feelings. I mean, if we got that far, that's where I'm going with that. But for now, kind of have to just dodge as many bullets as you can on the way down. If you're remaining along, especially like a lot of my plays right now, I'm holding shares, selling calls against it. If you're on the Patreon, you're following the growth count, then you saw we've done it twice now. Sold a call against NVIDIA. NVIDIA dropped down. We bought it back. NVIDIA popped back up. We sold another. NVIDIA dropped down. So we've sold a weekly call, same expiration, twice this week. So I'll continue to do that on the way down. And you heard it here. Time to go long. But yeah, and to be clear, maybe you just only click the thumbnail and titles and all that, because people always seem to be, they get confused, and I assume they have the IQ of a paperclip, and that's okay. They'll show it off in the comments. They'll see the thumbnail and title of me saying it's going to get much worse, and then they'll hear me talking about how I'm buying it. And I get that could probably be confusing for some people. If you're new, we'll just leave it at that. If you're new. What I'm going to do is start accumulating, because I like shares when they do get cheap. Again, I'm going to start accumulating anything I buy now. Hate to say it, it's not that it doesn't have a stop. It's just that it would take a lot for me to stop out of these positions. Allocation wise, it's just not enough to hurt me. Would it move the needle? No. We have to bounce and send it to all-time highs tomorrow to really move the needle. But I want to accumulate now and just kind of slowly trickle that thing in. When I see us bounce, when I see that higher low, then I'll lean into these positions, but my averages will be significantly lower. Also, if you've been following, we sold that call on NVIDIA. We have not bought any Palantir shares yet. I did look at it today. So far, we've been selling the calls on NVIDIA, taking that premium and buying Palantir shares. I didn't earlier today because Palantir was up, and I checked it later at the end of the day, and Palantir sold off. But for now, I'm just going to sell the calls, and we may or may not buy shares. It will be Palantir. We're going to collect another 100 shares of that. But I don't mind not. I don't mind just selling the calls and keeping the cash. How long do you see this drawdown lasting? 1 month? That's a good question. Let's just keep it at this trajectory and see. Kind of a silly way to project things, but if we just stay at that path, September. Anything else going on in September? CPI next week we'll decide. I don't think so. I don't think CPI. I think CPI is probably going to introduce another leg, but I think right after that, I think it just switches. I mean, we'll cross that bridge when we get here, or when we get there, right? All right, breaking it down, going into that second standard deviation again at 417. This particular one, I would wait for it to get to 417, and then I would consider selling the, I don't know, maybe 412, 410 put spreads on these. They were talking about an emergency rate cut, which may ruin the fun. Define fun, Steve. Do you find rolling naked on glass fun, or like what's your level of fun? There's a lot of people talking about an emergency rate cut, and I don't know why. When has Powell ever come out and said, "Hey, I really care about the stock market"? And how many times has Powell come out and said, "It's not my job to worry about the stock market. I'm worrying about the people," and that whole end of things. You know what his job is. He says, "I don't think so either. Let it fall." Rate cuts cause markets to drop. Yeah. I know everyone thinks a rate cut will be bullish, but why are we cutting rates? Because everything's fine and dandy, or it's raining outside? They will just dump the mess on the next guy. Oh man, that's like a politician special. Especially all these guys that are like 116. They've been in politics since slavery, and they're 1 foot out the door. I think I think they're ready to just like inch it along and say, you're up. All yours. 25 cut is expected if it's 50. Look out below. Yeah, I've heard people even say a 75 basis point cut. Not even 75, but 2 75 basis point cuts. If they come out swinging like that, one, just know I'll be rich because I'm short the U.S. dollar. But I might have to take some of those funds to help out my stock account because, yes, like you said, look out below. At that point, that is a sheer sign of we are unhinged and that ball just got let loose. It's rolling down a hill. But Steve, to Steve's point, he said it'll ruin all the fun, ruin all the dip buying. They get crazy with this. There's gonna be plenty of dip buys. Was that guy Kevin that said 75 base? No, and I hate that this is public. I don't know why Kevin's getting brought up in our chat a few times. I don't mind it when I see like one of his videos and someone has a question about it, but it's not. Kevin's getting better, but Meet Kevin's goal is really just to get views. It's not really anything else. He has a business to run, so it's the clickbait thumbnails. He's got a coupon expiring, a flash sale. It's going to end tomorrow. But don't worry, there's another one that's probably going to end the next day. Like he's just a YouTuber. That's it. He doesn't make his money from trading. So he'll say a lot. That's why you get a lot of people on his comments saying he's a flip flopper and he changed his mind and all that. Just yeah, I don't know, but I don't want to have to keep talking about Meet Kevin. I really don't, because it puts me in a position to either disagree and explain why he's wrong, and he's also not on the channel to even have that conversation, so it just feels weird. If it's 75, I'm definitely moving with Cody. Yeah, let's move on. The JD Vance of YouTuber. I don't know who JD Vance is. Anyway, it is. I will say it's kind of refreshing when someone talks about Meet Kevin and the other half of my chat has no idea who he is. I do like that. That's nice, but you know. Anyway, let's move on. The Russell rotating into that boot. And by boot, I mean a mud stomper, stomping a hole in anything you bought because of that rotation. Now, I highlighted this yellow, and I did say it's worth a buy. So I said this yesterday, day before? With my mentorship group, we talked about this zone right here. Now, the Russell's incredibly sideways, and I want to talk about why I made that bright. Because if I ever make a zone bright, just know that's where I'm paying attention. That's what I want. Case in point, the Bitcoin. We've got a great bounce. As far as the Russell goes, there's some specific set of rules with this. I would buy some Russell futures, assuming we hit this zone midday, late morning. I'm not buying this in extended hours or even approaching it, and that's pre-market or after hours. I want volatility. I want volume. I want all the players on the field if I'm going to be buying in this zone, and I want to do that because if this does bounce, my stop's going to go in the green, and I want to take my risk off the table and forget about it. In case we kind of do one of these where we bounce up and then just kind of come right back down, we'll bounce up because there's 3 or 4 buyers there, and I'll just be one of them. And when it comes back down, I'm not going to be the other one, and I'm just going to end up being a seller. Futures, if you just trade stocks like IWM, that move is probably going to mean nothing to you. It's going to be pennies, few bucks. Futures, that can actually make some money. That's quite a big zone for people that trade futures. So that's where I'll be at with that. As far as the Russell goes, we're right at the expected move, largely led by financials. Financials really leading the way on the Russell right now. So it gapped up, jumped up, hit that zone, sold off. It looks like it's going to continue at this point. Bear flag. I'm not short the financials, but I don't. I kind of hate shorting tickers that look like that, at least. But if you said, hey, I'm shorting the financials, I don't know how much of a comeback I would have other than like, hey, do you have a plan, which is entry, an exit? Where do you think it's realistically going to go? And then capital-wise, what if it gaps around you? It stops, options, risk, and capital. Or are you going to try that? I'm going to stop out nonsense in an options contract. Maybe you want to go theta and vega neutral and grab a spread. There's a few ways to play that. I don't think I am, but I just even sitting here contemplated it. Tesla. Now, I did sell some Tesla puts today. Some of the chat was a little bit, they had some questions about it. I sold the 200 strike puts for this Friday. They were 4 something a piece at the time, and they were right at the money. So I just said, give me money or give me the shares, but just give me one of them, if not both. So now some further questions was, am I going to take assignment, take an L? In this, I will take assignment on. So at that point, I'll have all the shares. Why is the expected move not updated? Did I forget that one? 192.80. Hang on. And 254. All right, so we're outside the expected move already. 177.93 is 2 standard deviations. Just below that zone. Now, if you've been following me for a while, then you saw me back here selling. I was selling the 160 strike puts. Thought so. Came right back. It was 160 for a while. Then I sold 170s, 180s, 195s. I just could not get assigned shares. And I was doing 3 weeks out, as in this Friday, next Friday, and the Friday after that, and just continuing to keep it going. It went on forever. So I wanted to get the shares, so I went out and I like to get paid to trade. So I did sell those puts. And outside of a rip-your-face-off rally or something coming in hot the last couple of days, I think I'll get the shares this week. And what might confuse people is I said Tesla's held up pretty well while the market has been selling off. But look at Tesla overall. Kind of flat. All we're doing is giving back just that spark where it kind of shot up. I like Tesla at these levels. My top 2 tickers right now that I really want to accumulate more is NVIDIA and Tesla. I can afford to get quite a bit more of each. I have enough Meta. Meta's also like a lot more capital intensive. So these I feel like I can beef up easier, sell more contracts, and use that to buy more Meta. What's a good entry for Google? So they're getting worked. Did you guys hear about Google's losing their lawsuit? Said they the words, just look it up. Antitrust, right? Was it antitrust this time? It has to do with their browser. I'm butchering that. I don't know if that's what's causing this. That's the whole market sold off then, so it's kind of hard to just equate that with that. But it really gave it. I think it shined a light on competition around AI, because Google is already kind of nervous about that. Even though they have one, they can't lose any market share right now. Antitrust, yeah, monopoly. A good entry for Google. Man, I got to warn you, I am pretty biased Google, as in long. If it is a main AI player, not because they said AI in their earnings. I'm not buying some crap company because it had a green reaction to earnings, so that they wanted to see how many times they could say AI in the call. Google, Tesla, Meta, Amazon, Microsoft, technically Apple. If it's one of the big players, it's not what's a good entry, it's just how much should I buy now and how much can I buy later. But a great entry would be that 150 area, 151, 152. Google's a juggernaut. It really is. And all the ones I'm buying are the juggernauts, the big ones. Not that they're too big to fail, because, again, I've said this before. When you're sitting on that throne, someone's always trying to dethrone you. Hopefully they have enough money to just kind of snuff that competition out. All right, let's get into some tickers. God, I got something like scratching my nose. I promise I drink Monsters, guys. I don't do anything else. All right, again, it is the Oracle's 10th birthday, so we're doing it all at once right now. Welcome, everybody. questions on futures options. I get what happens on a regular stock options. If I sell a 23 put and the stock drops below the stock price at expiration, I'd be purchasing 100 contracts for 2,300. Wait, a regular stock option at 23, you'd be purchasing 100 shares at $23 for 2,300. Yes. But what happens to a futures options? For example, if I had sold one October 31st, 3,500 put on ES, and it drops under 3,500 by expiration, am I paying whatever the current bid is on the contract? Yes and no. So you'll be, if it sells below 3,500, that's when exercise that happens. Unlike a stock, it's not 100 shares. It's actually one ES contract. So how should I just? Your broker should not be exercising contracts. Usually, it's a cash settlement. Again, if you guys can look it up, there's a story of a guy who was in futures or bought some orange contracts and had I think 1 or 2 or 3 tons of Florida oranges delivered to his driveway, just crates of oranges. I think after that, everyone went cash settlement. So what you'll end up being is, let's say it's at 3,500, but it sells off to 3,400, and you're in ES. That's 100 points. That's what they're going to take out is $5,000 of your account. You're not actually going to get the contract or anything. You're going to be down $5,000. You can call your broker. I think you have to call them and say, exercise that. But it should just be cash settlement. He pays the difference of what the cost of the contract is based strike price, and he will get the contract put to him, so he will own the contract. 100% certain on that. Not cash settled. Is that with TOS? If you get assigned one ES contract, can you use your margin, or do you have to come up with the cash? There is margin for it, but they take that out when you originally do it, when you take that position. Lori had ES put to her once. I don't remember the platform she used. Okay, so I guess do your own due diligence. I hate giving that answer, but I would double check with your broker to see if it's a cash settlement or not. Okay, Lori says she was assigned on Schwab. Okay. Nothing I've ever had happen to me, but I'm not in that position a lot, so I don't know. I sold puts on oil, and it was just a cash settlement. So I hope I gave you enough information. Celsius. Lori says I let it happen intentionally to see what would happen. Ooh. This is what happens when I switch from Celsius and go back to Monsters. I tried to warn you guys. There are some solid perks to being in my group. One, you know which energy drink I'm buying. Now, had you known I quit Celsius, I drink Monster, quit Monster. There was a Celsius kick for a little bit, and then I dropped it. I am back on Monster. I'm not proud of it. But, coincidence? There's a whole lot of people about to be assigned on Intel. So if I got a feeder cattle contract, would they send me the cows? You'd have to call them. Tell them I want that delivery. That's because I knew you didn't have enough property to take delivery on all those oil drums. Fun fact, I deal with oil delivery all the time. If you ever just are over here, you hear the phone ring in the background, and it's literally about oil and propane delivery, and you got to go pick it up from the railroad because it comes in on train. So I actually could. I know where it goes. I know where I'm picking it up. If you were assigned on Intel, they send you a case of Pentium processors. All right, let's let me not ADD it up. He says CELH long, no position on this knife. It's close to the 5-year 200 moving average at 36. Sweet. The 5-year. Is that a TOS thing? Well, I was looking at the 5-year chart. Is that a daily? This is why I get why people don't follow me when they tell me they're playing. I'm like, that's cool. But anyway, if you were profitable, you'd be watching this. I don't know where the EMA at, and basically me just moving this trend line is just trying to sell you a position anyway. I'm gonna stick to what I do best. It's cool that moving average lines up with this zone at 36. That's where I would catch this knife. If it breaks, I'd put my stop at 30.85. If it breaks that, I wouldn't care about it. I guess you could consider another entry down here at the $16 mark. I'm sure it'll, like, if I caught this knife and it hurt me, cut my little hands, I wouldn't worry about it until this. So, yeah, that's, again, right in half. It might break that and play the back and forth game right inside here. There's a blue zone right inside there, but I wouldn't worry about it. If you're assigned on Intel, they should send you an apology letter. How do you miss the earnings by 60 cents when your expectations were 62? You guys wanted us to make that? That's my bad. See, on our Excel document, we had the plus and the minus sign wrong. It's completely my bad. All right, Carvana. Man, I think I would be short this. Short this because of the environment, and I think that's going to pan out in their next earnings. I don't care that they beat this earnings. I really don't. This might be one I would entertain shorting. Maybe shorting shares and holding on for a little bit. If I was holding shares, I would be aggressively selling calls. I would be selling the 35, 40 deltas on this. What's the actual ticker for your Forex play? USD JPY. If assigned Intel, Vinay shows up at your house. You know what? That's what we need. That's what we need in the group. We need a Don Fran get-together, and there's going to be one of those dunk tanks, you know, where you get to throw the ball. If it hits the target, the person drops in the water. Except for the target is going to be, let's do an above-ground pool. We'll turn it sideways, and you got to throw a golf ball in it. And if you can make that from 10 feet away, Vinay gets dunked. Will there be free monsters? You're not going to meet me in person, and I don't buy you a Monster or Chipotle. Except Technician. I met Technician. I don't think we got Chipotle. Carvana. Technically speaking, that the ticker still looks all right. You shouldn't really be bearish till it breaks that 121 area. Breaks that, then we'll probably start breaking down. I think I would front run the risk. I think I'd front run it, and I'd still put my stop at. I'd go a higher time frame. So it's at 127. I would go 147, which is a $20 per share difference. You know, so if you only wanted to risk $100, you'd only short this thing 5 shares. Breaks that, we're headed back up. I think that might be the lower high to come down further. Oh, you even said short, no position. For me, it's not would I go short, it's just how would I do it. I don't know if I'm buying puts right now. Puts are expensive, and what if this takes a while to break down? What if these zones just get in the way? If you could short shares, I think I would do that. Don't make it the punching ball game. I missed the first one. I don't usually care for the punching ball, the speed bag game. Every guy I've ever seen hit that, I think that translates to like their ego or something. They feel like they're like just a real bad dude. I've had a punching bag like that since I was 5. Well, when I turned 6, so technically 6. I'll never forget when I got that because I thought it was a chalkboard. Came in a flat box because punching bags I didn't know would ever deflate. It was just a round board with a deflated punching bag in the arms. My dad said, "What do you think I got you for your birthday?" And I said, it's a chalkboard. He said, "No, it's not." I said, "Yeah, it is. You're trying to trick me. It's a chalkboard. You want me to draw on it. I'm not stupid." It was actually a punching bag, and I started lessons literally that night. So anything involving a punching bag or anything like that, I don't care for it. We'll have to ask Technician if you will still roast us in person. It's a good question. Technician, what was it like meeting me in person? All right, SMCI. I like the knife catch. I like this company. Again, like I said earlier, I would maybe consider accumulating some shares. But anything I'm buying now, bare minimum, I don't think I finished this statement earlier. Anything I'm buying now, I'm holding until December. It's going to take a lead vest and sunglasses at 11 p.m. to probably to make me get rid of my shares. I like it here, love it here. And if it makes that, some of you are thinking, well, I need you to pick one because I don't want to buy it up here and write it all the way down. I'd be prepared for that. Honestly, if I'm catching that knife and you're not prepared to hold all the way down to 330, then I would consider putting your stop at 456.85. Lisa says, I like the love zone. Yeah, me too. And that's the thing, guys. This is going to be a great example. This is something I like right here. Look at where it was. And you know what I really dislike when people say it? People love to do this. There's one creator, I'm not going to name him. He does it. He's not the only one. He's like, yo, it's fallen 154. I guess, hang on. We did that backwards. This stock is down 60%. So if it recovers back to highs, you'll make $743 per share. Just because it's been that high doesn't mean it ever has to touch that high ever again. Case in point, Peloton. Peloton's $291 now. And the exact words are, look at all that room for recovery. Room for recovery is how I know you don't trade for a living. From 171 to 61. Look at that room. There you go. Almost $170 a share. But I take that with a grain of salt, right? The whole room for recovery. When we sell off like this, if you liked it back here and you kind of did your analysis and you liked that stock, you might have felt you missed the boat. You didn't want to chase it, kind of iffy, and it's giving you this opportunity. Like, man, I don't want to miss this boat again. It's kind of how I am with Nvidia. A lot of people are saying Nvidia to 80, and I poke fun and make fun of that, but I also don't care if it gets to 80, because yes, I would like it, but I have missed. And in the last decade, I have missed a lot of trades waiting for that sweet spot that never came. And I have missed some by pennies because I just set an alert. It's like, if it gets there, I'll buy it. And then, it literally just turns on the dot, missing my alert. And I miss it because I didn't want to get in $2 per share early on a $1,000 product. And I think, and that's why I said the last half of this sell-off is going to be a lot harder because you're going to have a lot of people thinking, hey, I missed the brunt of it. Let's just start getting shares now. 85 to 80 would be ridiculous. Technician says 79. SMCI is way underwater. As far as puts or calls you sold. I know someone who played Peloton and had a whole lot of stock put to him, and all it's done is dropped and dropped and dropped. Yeah, imagine staying in that. That would suck. Technician says, I made him cry in public. Just playing it was cool. Yeah, that was a good time. We gotta get Chipotle next time. I just realized we did not get Chipotle. It's unacceptable. I own 6 shares of SMCI at 9.20. You got some work to do. Do you see any areas of support that I should try to buy into, or do I just let this go and move on? What was your plan when you first got in? Just throwing pickles at the sliding glass door to see if they'll stick? You're here. You click the buy button. And then what? Where was your stop? What was your plan? Because you have to have one of those for me to critique anything. I can tell you what you did wrong. Then just that's like asking how are your driving skills. You just hopped in the car and took off. You don't have a driver's permit. Stop at 350. So my advice to you, because I can't give financial advice, is make that plan now. Because, do you want to ride the storm out? Because right now you have your money attached to 4 letters. Big deal. Do you think that's the best spot for your 4 letters? Do you think those 4 letters are the best? Because tomorrow morning, if you stay in it, that tells me you made the plan. You decided those 4 letters are the ones that are going to make me the most with my money. Because it doesn't matter if you lock this in and move it to something else. I would put it wherever I think it's going to make me money. I don't ever get in a trade to make money back. That's stupid. That's nonsense. Every trade, every buy you place is to make money. That's it. Staying in this to make money. Closing this to buy another one to make money. I typically start when I make. I don't ever go down this route, but there's things that have gapped down before on me, and my question is, would I like to buy it right here? If that answer is yes, or we're flirting with it, then I'm probably going to hold on to it. I'm not going to make any emotional decision to sell at the bottom. If it's this thing is crap, I don't care what that number says. Oh, my P&L can say whatever it wants. That's for the accountant later. If I'm looking at this chart and it says this thing's got much more meat on the bones to the downside, Winnie the Pooh can have it. Maybe add your position. Yeah, what's really cool? Losing on 6 shares and then losing on 26 shares. Yeah, I want to spice things up a little bit. Makes things exciting. There's a saying, just date a stock, don't marry it. I'm going to propose to a lot of stocks. I'm going to flirt with both that. Add when you're green. Add and buy when it makes sense and sell when it makes sense. Keep it simple, because there's times to add on. Every time I add on, I already thought about that before I ever bought in the first place. So it makes it hard to come up with that plan later and really have an unbiased opinion. If it is long-term, maybe that's why you have it here. Yeah, maybe this is a long-term question. Then yeah, this is about the area right here. So you got 6 shares. I'll answer it like I do when people ask me about dividend questions. So we usually draw out like weekly time frames. And I tell you, if I'm going to buy 10 shares, I'm probably buying 3 here, 4 here, 3 here, or, any kind of different level like that. If I had 6 shares and my total, I want to get 10. Probably 2 and 2. Yeah, 2 right here, another 2 right here. If I'm super timid, I'm going to grab 1 here, 3 here. Finish up that 10. If you really want to, and I really hate when people say it, but play it safe, wait for this thing to bounce, pull back, and make a higher low. I wonder when 24-hour trading will come back to Robinhood. I don't know. I think Robinhood is ahead of its time, I think. That 24-hour trading is cool until everybody else figured out they're in the Stone Ages. TOS charts are about as awesome as Robinhood charts, but Robinhood, you can trade shares around the clock until everyone can't panic sell their stuff, and then they have some deals, some lunches on the side saying, turn that off. We can't have you outshining us like that. That is my problem to this day. This is where I'm wrong with my thesis, but I lost money. I'll hold it until I'm break even. Years later, I lost it all. Well, that's not that's just wrong in general. Hold it until you're break even. One of the dumbest things I've ever heard. And listen, if you think you're going to hold it until you break even, You're telling me, and you're saying out loud, you are never going to take a loss. Have you ever found a trader, investor that just doesn't take a loss? They're on the internet, yeah, and they just haven't gone to jail yet because it's not real. You're going to take losses. Do it and move on. Rather a lowercase L than a capital L. ES and NQ. Think we'll have a repeat of Tuesday and Wednesday, as in day ends red and next day it's green, 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 only to be red again. Nah, I think this time we broke it. I think that was your buyers gobbling it up. I think there's no more buyers at the zone. We might have the buyers show up at this zone. I think for both of them. There's a zone right below on the NASDAQ. It's going to be rough if it makes it down there. I guess in theory it could. I don't think so. I think the buyers that were holding this up, kind of like right here. I just think there's few, maybe some shorts covering, and they're just piling it right back in. A lot of red on that chart. Looks like a slaughterhouse. Yeah, I wouldn't be too thrilled for it. Beto, adding any shares to any accounts, dollar cost averaging and collecting the nice monthly dividend. Haven't yet. Almost added to my main account today. But my phone literally just got fixed right before streaming. So I was jacking with that all day today. I tell you what, I do like the idea though. And I think in the growth account, it's going to happen there as well. This Friday, we have the call sold on SQQQ. I'm thinking about we're going to let that go. I've kicked around the idea, and I've told Technician this 100 times too, that we're just going to let it go. And I've kicked around the idea of just rolling it one more week just for the free money. We might just let that go and then use that capital to buy some more Beto, because we'll collect probably more on that dividend than we will the calls. You think that wick is where we're going? If I have to throw darts, I think the wick is pointing to the direction we're going to go. I bet we probably go a little bit further. I don't think the bottom is in. I set my Robinhood account to have the time frame on all because the one-day chart is so depressing. Lisa, thank you for that. I wanted to start breaking down the VIX on these streams, kind of keep an eye on it. They might be buying it up. I don't know if we see an explosive move like that. If we do, markets are hopping down. Because like this shot up, and you would have thought the markets were blood red. They actually weren't as red as you would typically see on a VIX move like this. Someone was buying up the volatility, but it did calm down a bit, right back down. I would say you're alert at 31 on this. If it breaks that, it might be an exciting day. Ford breaking this zone. I'm going to have to sell some 950 puts on Ford. And like I told you guys, had Ford for like a decade. Sell calls, sell puts. I take that premium, I buy more. Ford is like the best snowball ever. And then I close it all to go all in on AI, and I just keep looking at it, and you guys keep asking me to break it down. And then I've almost habitually bought Ford 1 million times. It feels weird not being in it. But at these levels at Ford, it's kind of almost a no-brainer. It just doesn't hang out here very long. If someone's going to call it out. One time it went to 4. That was the Rona crash. The other time it broke this level, that was, maybe you heard about it. They made a movie about it. Remember that one time the whole market crashed? There was a guy named Michael talking about it. He was a star in there. Let's see. I guess shortly after the dot-com bubble. So it took crashes that they made movies about and you've heard about was the only thing to get Ford below these levels. I'm okay with owning it around these levels. What about Ford puts in the growth account? I don't really care for buying calls or puts on Ford. I sell them to the gamblers all day, every day. I have no problem selling them. It's just people in the group have. I just don't. I think that's weird. Not in a, like it's a personal thing for me. I don't want to buy 4,000 contracts of something that's 8 cents and sell it at 10 cents. Like that. That's why I liked Amazon before it split. I spent 15 grand on one contract, one in and out, not partial fill, partial fill, partial fill. Spending half the day getting a fill. Ford just doesn't move enough to make much. You probably haven't been in Ford long. You can make quite a bit. The beautiful thing about Ford is that it doesn't move much, and the options are liquid. So selling puts and calls on it are absolutely amazing. It's one of the easiest tickers you will ever have. Chevy all the way. That makes sense. So you're probably not profitable. I understand. It's all coming together now. So you'd rather buy government motors than Ford, huh? Let's see. Yeah, right now, technician, as far as the growth count goes, let's worry about SQQQ. Let's get out of SQQQ and then see what we're going to do with Beto. It might be just better off with Beto. Ford right now, if the economy gets bad, we'll probably hit this zone down below. This is going to be one of those times where we're talking about it years later. But I would say if you sold the 950 puts, by the time you get assigned, maybe it will be lower. You could sell the 950 calls, get some premium going that way. This is why I don't like Dom anymore. He says buy 100 Nvidia for $10K and earn 150 a week, or buy 1,000 Ford and earn $250 a week. As far as premium goes, for the record, I taught him that trick. But yes, and I've said this before a million times on this channel. You just probably won't find a ticker that pays what Ford does. Yeah, again, extrapolate it all out. How much you would put for that one contract, how many Ford contracts you'd have, and which one would make more. Outside of earnings weeks, maybe some one-offs, as far as like consistency, Ford will win, I think every time. And again, I've asked publicly on YouTube, if you guys can find a ticker that beats Ford, needs to be liquid in options, pay a dividend, nice and chill, and pays what it pays, I'm all ears. Bring it to me. I've asked that many times. No one's brought anything. Low blow for someone with 2 Corvettes. Hey, Chevy can make an LS motor. That's it. Is Chevy government motors? Yeah, they're all the same. All right, Amazon. Amazon's another one that I do like. I do think it'll get lower. This is my alert. Amazon hits 150. I'm grabbing some more. I just can't not at that price. But it's one of those, if tech sells off more like I think it will, Amazon's not going to avoid it. But it's one of the powerhouses. Right now, as far as cloud services go, I think there's 15% of everything is on the cloud. 15? That's obnoxious. They got so much more room to grow. So I do like it for their cloud services. Not because, I don't know if you guys know this or not, they sell stuff online. Yeah, they have like Black Friday specials. There was like the Prime Day. Now, on Prime Day is the one day that they sell stuff online, and all the other days, it's different. Amazon's premiums suck now. They do. Have you heard of Prime Day? As far as this goes, I guess if I was to entertain shorting it, this I would grab puts on. At the money puts 2-3 weeks out. And that's just because shorting shares of this, it would just take up quite a bit of capital. And the movement, it's just not what it used to be. You kind of want something that'll throw a contract around. Where is my 159.66? All right. Let's go to standard deviations for Amazon. 151.42. Might as well fix this in case we absolutely send it. 176.14 is the expected move there. Come on. All right. Yeah, 150 is going to be a buy area for me. All right, when looking at Forex, what time frame do you analyze and what time frame do you trade? Eric, had you asked me on any other time right now, or any other time, daily. Right now, weekly and monthly time frame, because I am just short the US dollar, Japanese yen. I'm going to be short that for some time. Typically, daily. If you jump into a smaller time frame on Forex, get ready to rock. I mean, it's going to be chop city. You're going to have some wide stops, and fingers crossed it doesn't tag. Playing that scalp game, good luck. And I don't mean that sarcastically, like really good luck. Some people can really get down with it, and sometimes you just get chopped up a lot. I found moving to the higher time frames on Forex really eliminates a lot of that. What are my thoughts on Celsius stock right now? They had record best report, but the stock is still going down. Sounds like somebody didn't either get the memo or nobody cares. But because I gave you that response, I already broke it down. To break it down for you, I quit drinking it, which is why it sold off. Record beating beats everything. What was their guidance? Just kidding. That's what normal people say on earnings. There was a statistic a while back that 86% of the time, the stock will just go wherever the market goes as far as earnings reactions. Nobody's holding it just because it's probably just not a good ticker to be in right now and in this environment. That's all. I do like the stock, but I don't know if I like holding it. I don't know if I would. It's not worth buying. Catch that knife right now. They're giving you subliminal hints as to what you should be buying. See what I'm saying? Yeah. That's what you should be buying. That's a huge M for Monster. Hopefully MK33 is still here. I don't mean to give sarcastic remarks if someone's new. Home Depot, 350, 816, covered call up 55%. Well, yeah, hitting the type 2 like that. If it breaks down tomorrow, I'm going to wait for the 80% mark. But if it doesn't, yeah, I would have to close that one down. Lumen Technologies. We talked about this a while back, did we not? Yeah, you even called this out. I remember you tagging me in the chat over this because I looked at it and almost bought it. And man, talk about shoulda, coulda, woulda. Momentum ticker, obviously, 585 would be my stop. So it'd be just under $1 per share on that one. You're in at $2.99 when I brought it to you last week. I got nothing to say that other than I wish I would have jumped in. When you tagged me last week, I 100% almost jumped in with you. I don't even remember why I didn't. Sell calls or dump shares? I would not sell calls on this. The problem with selling calls is this thing tanks and it turns into a pump and dump. It's cool you collect some money on there, but those shares dropped way more. I would trail this. That was when they announced the Microsoft partnership. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I remember this. What an awesome ticker. Right now, yeah, if I'm in at $2.99, I'm kicking my feet up on the desk and putting my stop at $5.85. This pump up was on earnings. Yeah, see if it continues. I like the jokes, and I totally agree with where the market usually decides the price. Yeah. I'm glad you're still here. And I've said this before, but I genuinely like it. If I say something sarcastic, especially right now, I'm exhausted. So what I think is funny comes off very as I don't care about your life kind of thing. And I'm fully aware of how I sound sometimes when I get tired. I shouldn't make jokes when I'm tired. But I do like when I do make jokes or just say whatever's on my mind and someone's still here. You're my people. All right, Hood. I really do like Hood, but I can't ignore it. That is a bear flag. You know, I would be longish Hood. My stop would be 1585. I like the dip right here, but in case this thing wants to send it down here, this is probably not one I would hold. I would take a trade on this. I put my stop at 1585. Earnings are a dud. Where does it go from here? Hopefully up, but if the market sells off, probably not. Everything not looking good. Go to cash. I just don't like the idea of being in cash. Like, if I wanted that, I would just have a savings account. But I've never had a savings account pay any bills. So I like to just find maybe better ways to deploy it. But so I guess the answer is yes and no. There's no need to be all in anything. I don't think there's any sector. We've gone through the S&P, tech, the Russell. Every sector we've brought up, nothing's outshining. You don't want to buy Lockheed Martin right now. You know, the defensive ones, they're just way too up. Like, that's not going to last. So it's go to cash, but look for the deals. It's like going to the ATM, like Dom said. Dom said it's going to be like going to Kmart with a blue light special if you are of the older generation and not the TikTokers. You know, go to the ATM, pull the cash out, go hit up Kmart. Blue lights are spinning. Cash for me is SNOXX. Earn 5% and sell puts. Selling puts seems sketch though. Yeah, if you, I'm selling puts on things that I want to own, and I think it's great. But I also don't mind if it comes down to it. I'll buy them. You know, like earlier today, I told you I sold the 200 strike puts on Tesla. I'll probably own it, but I collected almost $900 on it. So I only sold 2 of them. Yeah, so why not? You know, why not get paid to buy the stock? Just make sure it's something you want to own. You know. Robinhood's also 5%, 5.5%. If you have just cash sitting in there. If you go longish on Hood, what about a debit spread? Long call, short call spread. Oh, that'd be a good way to do it. I'd go an in-out spread on Hood. If it makes it, I guess it'd have to be $1 wide. Yeah, I would only do $1 wide. So it'd be a 17 and 18. Hopefully I pay $50 for it. Or low volatility plays like Pfizer, Ford, etc. Low volatility dividend tickers. Yeah. Ford might not be a bad. It's selling off, and like I told you with Carvana, I don't think anything the consumer buys right now, I don't think is a good play. I think we're going to start. I think these earnings, I think we're backed up to a cliff, and all the earnings calls of the CEOs with their back to the cliff talking, oh, we did good, and then next earnings, I think we're going to get smoked. I think what everyone's feeling now, I think is going to show up in the next earnings round. But there are just certain tickers that you don't know for certain, but you know they're probably going to recover. How bad is it going to be if you do hold them for a short time? Buying the extra 100 in Tesla was the worst. Tesla's right back into, I guess we got to delete. So much for that pennant. We'll leave that one up. We're going to delete that one, though. I still like Tesla right here. I guess let's see if it bounces at the 180 mark. Might get out of shop and Fortinet while up. Yeah, the last thing you want to be is up on a ticker and find out the market's playing whack-a-mole and your two just haven't been hit yet. And like I said last stream, if it's raining knives, just go inside. Just take cover. Because then you can go back out when the raining stops, pick out whatever knife you want, pick it right up off the ground. It's pretty hard to cut yourself picking up a knife off the ground. You're not blindfolded. I think the stock market is going to be in a worried state up until the U.S. election, regardless if a new war breaks out in the Middle East or not. Aside from that, the Nikkei could be a problem. The Nikkei, it better be a problem. It better be a problem for the U.S. dollar, is what I'm saying. Because I need the Japanese yen to be the new world dominant currency. Is what I'm saying. To be in a worried state until election, I can see that. I think the question is, a worried state in my mind is we do have a low and we have a high in, and I do think we're probably about to establish that, and then we just have these just crazy ups and downs. Like the S&P is going to look like this. A few days, maybe even a week or two up, a week or two back down. Let's see. Cody, what's your average on those shares? All right. Casey, she even started off. And the chances that you've already answered this and are repeating yourself, so sorry. I have. But can you just explain why we had closed the NVIDIA call at 80% today? I understand it was risk mitigation, but I feel like the way it was dropping today could have led the situation that it would have kept going till expiration. Anyone else want to answer this to Casey? Anyone else watching want to tell Casey why I closed at 80%? Who's ever been mad at making 80%? Raise your hand. Okay. You know how I know none of you guys raised your hand? It's not because I can't see you, but because everyone likes making 80%. 80% is better than a kick in the head. Close also because NVIDIA can turn on a dime. They can. So we already sold a contract on NVIDIA today. It sold off. Not today, this week. It sold off. We bought it back to close. NVIDIA popped right back up. We sold another one, and then it sold back off again, to which we closed. Hopefully it does pop back up. And think about this, Casey. Now put your thinking cap on and try to focus. I could slow it down, or you can play me at 0.5 speed. Maybe that will help. For anyone watching just on the public YouTube, we like to give Casey crap. But Technician says, so if there's a pop, we can sell another. And we will. Don only likes some money, not a lot. Yeah, I'm not here trying to go for 100%. 80% is good. Okay, so we collected 80%. It's not a matter of risk mitigation. It's just how much is that last 20% actually worth? We're going to just be clawing, scratching, and trying to get that. Now, hopefully it just continues to melt down. But NVIDIA has been one that just has been popping back. Kind of crazy. It's like NVIDIA sells off and Congress just can't wait to snap it right back up. Somebody's buying it up. But this one's been kind of weird because we get some red days, and then it's like the next day it's leading the market. So just that. I mean, think what we had left on that. 30 something. I forget the math. $30, somewhere around there. $28. Why even risk $28? You know, like we're halfway through the week. We have a whole another half of the week. This thing can turn on a dime and cover that ground inside of 1 hour. And we have, at the time when I bought it back, 2.5 trading sessions left for $20. If you aren't trading NVIDIA's volatility, why trade it? Yeah. A lot of hand wringing over the last 20%. Exactly. Yeah, it's just it's never worth it. Once you're up 80%, it's like, I guess, imagine moving a pile of dirt from the front yard to the backyard. The first 80% is a wheelbarrow. The last 20% would be like doing it by your hand with a shovel. Just multiple trips. Like, no, you just go to the next pile. Put the 80% in another one. Jay says, this dude's captions are nothing but fear porn. Don used to be a decent dude. Anything for a click, I guess. Maybe you should just rewind and listen to what I said in the beginning. Because I do think it gets worse. This is not clickbait. Let's see. Cody, take care of this. I would just have Cody move the dirt. There are no bag limits on NVIDIA. You can invest more than once a week. Yeah. But that being said, NVIDIA and Tesla are the only. I don't want to say they're the only two. They're just the two that I'm getting aggressive with, because I do think, and I'll hopefully Jay's still here so we can hear this. Stock market will get much worse. That's what my title says, because it's not clickbait. I think the thumbnail was stock market to fall more or something. I don't know. Just to be clear, it's not for a click. It's for you to pay attention. So just do that and less typing. I haven't changed. But as far as NVIDIA and Tesla goes, I just don't care. You know, like I'm going to – I just like them at these prices, so I'm going to start accumulating more shares. The more it sells off – I hate even saying this because, again, I hate YouTubers that say that. Like, oh, I hope it goes down. And, you know, I've said this before. Like, no one actually wants their money to go down. I'm not buying enough to really kill myself on this. Man, maybe I should have said that on YouTube. But I do like at these levels to where I'm turning the faucet on. You know, let's at least just get this going. Usually August and September are the worst months. October is the bear killer, which is crazy because it used to be the October red. I get concerned on closing covered calls. That is free money, and closing only reduces profits unless you get assigned. Well, in this volatility, though, why it technically it's free money, but it's just $20. And then you were here. Remember when it was 100% up on Amazon on Friday, and I let it go. I was like, yeah, let's do this. Went from 100% profit to a 100% loss. It was a spread, and we thought it was in the bag. And then it turned on a dime and just off to the races like it was an Olympic event. And then that was that. Couldn't get out of it. Take one of those trades and then tell me that $20 is going to be worth it. Let's see. I don't think there's a set up or down for any month. Oh, I see what you're saying. One day can really, really punish you. Yeah. Do you still think a crash is coming next year? I thought this was coming next year. This is what I thought was going to happen. And like I said, my thoughts were S&P down 10% and the NASDAQ down 20%. This is down 17% from peak to, we call it bottom, top to bottom. Right now, top to bottom, we had just cracked that 10% mark. But the rate at which it's selling off, I think it gets a little bit worse. You place a $100 bet for 5 days. In 2.5 days, you made $80 and can walk away or stay another 2.5 days to make an extra $20 or lose all your shares. Dude, click to comment and complain. Wildness. Yeah, whatever. That 20% can cost you 100%. Yeah, it really can. And it's not even a bad question. It's one I've answered, 500 times recently. But just because it's you, Casey, we'll answer it again. Anytime, as far as an option seller goes, the bulk of that trade, that 80% that's it. I don't know how this is going to sound. Imagine eating a chicken. And then imagine eating the chicken and the feathers. You don't need the feathers, right? Just don't worry about them. Get the meat and move on. I get it. I should have known. Well, this is on public YouTube, so I haven't answered that on YouTube as many times. Don said it. I did it. Done. How much have we collected this week so far? Hang on. All right, Monday we collected $57 plus 115. It's the chicken wing analogy. I closed a few trades today, 80% profit. Nice. This is it's flirting with the lines of it's not a loss until you lock it in, which only less intelligent people say, I think. But in this scenario, I mean, look, we are, and by we, I'm just thinking because a lot of us are in NVIDIA. Here's NVIDIA on a downward trend. And when I take this to my accountant, I have to pay taxes. How many other people holding NVIDIA get to say that? No one. Technically, we got a red P&L on there. But right now, the only thing our account says is this week alone, $157, or sorry, $172. $172 is what we got to pay taxes on. Just the meat, but I firmly believe in cleaning it to the bone. No, it's like going to a pizza buffet. You don't eat the crust when you go to a pizza buffet. Why waste the room in your stomach for some bread? No. You get the good stuff, you toss it to the side, that way you can count how many pieces of pizza you actually ate, and you're an animal. That's how you do it at a pizza buffet. Pizza Hut is bringing those back, by the way, so that's a positive for the economy because it's good for your soul. They don't serve stuffed crust at pizza buffets, or I would be there. But anyway, yeah, kind of like what I would, to tie it all back together. What I'm doing in the growth account right now is what I'm doing in my main account. Any shares I buy, I will accumulate more, and that's kind of why I don't mind buying on the way down. It's too bad Jay's not still here. Adding on and adding on. It'll help bring my average down as well for any new positions. Mentally, I'm calling them new positions because then I'll sell calls against that. So if I buy 100 shares, it drops down to maybe a couple zones down because the market's just in panic mode. I grab another couple hundred shares. But now I can sell two contracts at a lower strike and collect more, and I'll use that premium to buy the dip on even more things. But so it is clear, my thumbnail and title, not clickbait. If you're not selling call options or you don't know how to manage risk, maybe cash is your position. Because I do think the selling, I don't think the low's in yet. So I would be 100% ready for that. I'm ready for it, and that's why I went over this in the beginning too, is you're going to hear me talk about the things that I'm buying, but just know that I'm engaged to these stocks. We're not married and we're not dating. I'm engaged. It's a trial run until December. Uh-oh, economy is looking good if pizza buffets are coming back. Yeah, I think that's the real reason McDonald's saw a decline in its sales, because people are saving their money in anticipation of Pizza Hut bringing back the buffet. Now all they need to bring back is the little personal pan pizzas that come in that little cast iron pan. Oh, I didn't even like those when I was a kid, but I'm gonna eat an unhealthy amount of them. All right. Now, $65 all you can eat. Oh, it's sad because it's true. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up here, ladies and gentlemen. You will see me on another day, I'm sure. Mentorship group, you will see me bright and early tomorrow morning. I'm gonna go eat some cake and ice cream. It is the Oracle's 10th birthday today, so I gotta go do that. Anyway, everyone, you know when I'll see you next. Have a good one.